Hello, I'm Lorraine Hahn and welcome to Executive Golf. We're playing at the Sentul Highlands Golf Club, one of 8 beautiful courses along Indonesia's Golf Corridor on the Jagorawi toll road to Bogor. This course opened in 1997 under the design of golf legend Gary Player. The front 9 winds through an upscale residential area. The more tropical back 9 is shorter, but presents a bigger challenge with accuracy, the key to a low score. My playing partner today is Sharab Bhutani, Managing Director of Standard Chartered Bank Indonesia. He's called Jakarta home now for 2 years, but considers himself an international citizen. Bhutani was born in Ethiopia, raised in India, the UK, and the United States. Prior to joining Standard Chartered in 2008, he was a senior member of Lehman Brothers' private equity business in Asia. Sharab, I'm so happy to see you
Hi,
again.
Lorraine. How are you? Good
Fine,
to see
fine. Now, disclosure, we've known each other as friends since the days in Hong Kong. So I'm going to tell everybody you played a mean 3-iron. Is that still the case?
When I could hit it.
Is that still the case? Did you
I've actually graduated from the 3-iron to a hybrid now, or a rescue, 3 rescue. So still haven't hit the woods yet, but that's the target.
Okay, how often do you get to play?
I've sort of made a conscious decision over the past 6 months or so that I'm here in Indonesia and I've got to learn golf. This is golf country. So regularly, I would say the last 6 months I've been playing probably once every 2 weeks or so.
Good.
And the target is to get there once a week and hopefully improve the score.
Okay.
This is all about as many times as you can get out there as possible.
I'm dying to see you play. I'm dying
Let's do it.
to. All right, ready to play?
Let's do it.
Okay. Thank you. Beauty. Good shot. Oh, a little bit right. So, where did you actually pick up golf?
Well, the first time I played was when I was in the US, but this was in New York and must have been some public park. So I wouldn't really say I picked up and played golf there. More in earnest was probably when I got to Asia and in Hong Kong, and as you know, and we played with you in Thailand. And going away in Hong Kong itself is not the easiest place to play.
True.
So, but there was lots of opportunities to go around Hong Kong, 1 hour, 2 hour flights away, and that's sort of when I started to play and got really interested into it and got hooked on it.
What does golf mean to you? Is it just like a weekend thing, a must-do, an escape? What is it?
I think the first thing is I enjoy it. So it's just a nice way to relax, beautiful scenery, a reason to be outside. But it's also allowed me here in Indonesia to connect with my colleagues who are huge golf fanatics. And as you know here, business is conducted on the golf course. A lot of business is conducted on the golf course. So it's been quite important. There's a few clients that I've now mustered the courage to go out and play with. But from that perspective, it's been a really helpful tool for me to settle down here in Indonesia. You spend 4 hours, 5 hours with colleagues and clients alike, and you really do get to know them.
Right. The other thing about golf, obviously, I mean, you're such a focused person. You focused on your whole career, your whole life. Is that how you play your golf game too? Is that you go into the golf game being really focused, or what?
I did not do that, but that is something I am working on. I realized that initially it was just more of having some fun with a group of friends. But to make it to where you actually improve your scores and get better and can play reasonably well, I think you need to be incredibly focused. And that's what I'm beginning to work on, and getting in there and being mentally prepared when I get into the game.
How often do you go to the driving range?
I try to go probably 2-3 times a month, so let's call it once every other week, maybe if I'm lucky once a week.
Okay, that's not bad. That's
not bad, yeah. This is golf country, so everything is fairly accessible.
And do you have any coaching here?
I do not. And that's something that I probably should get a hold of, and when I've got some time, I'll try to figure out when I fit that in as well.
Time. It's always time, isn't it? Because you said 5 hours.
Takes a while.
Takes a while, right?
Takes a while.
Yeah. So my ball's over here.
Okay.
So, God, I've still got a fair bit of ways to go, eh? Sharab, how important are your clubs to you?
Remember those clubs I had when we were playing back in Hong Kong? It's the same clubs. I figure until I get to a level of consistency where the equipment actually is going to make a difference, let me stay with it, because I can hit some good shots and obviously not so good shots, so that means the equipment's just fine. So it's really not that important. I'm fine with the clubs I've got.
It's just you.
It's just me. It's just me. I don't need any new clubs. I'm good with what I've got.
But you know what they say? I mean, new technology helps you drive a bit longer.
Yeah, as soon as I get to a driver, though.
What does golf mean to you, Sharab?
In addition to recreation, it means an opportunity to spend time with friends, colleagues, clients. It means getting some fresh air and not being in the indoors in front of a screen. And it's also competitive. It plays with your mind a bit, so you've got to be focused. There's lots of aspects of it. It's not necessarily, there's some physical aspect, but there's a lot of mental aspects of it as well. So I just enjoy it all around. It's a great way to spend a few hours.
I mean, if you had a chance to play with anybody, any pro golfer, not, who would it be?
Oh, geez.
Tough question, huh?
Very tough
There's
question.
so many out there, right? Just
Very
one.
tough question. I don't know. That's a really hard one, Lorraine. I would.
Tiger Woods, Phil Nicholson, Gary
You know,
Player.
I would like to play with one of these up and coming
How about the
sort of
Indian
young
guy?
guys coming from Jeev Milkha Singh.
Yeah.
He would be interesting to play with simply because his dad was an incredibly interesting guy. Right?
Really?
His dad was even more interesting than he is.
Really?
His dad was he ran for the 400 for the India team in the 1960 something Olympics in Rome.
Really?
And came in 4th place. He was one of India's best runners. So I think from that perspective it might be interesting. But I'd like to play with one of these up and coming young guys from an Asian country and figure out, sort of understand their story, right? Because I think that's where a lot of talent's coming from these days.
But not Indonesia, you know, that's funny, right? They're coming from Korea, Japan, you know, but not so much from Indonesia.
Wait and see. It's coming. There's a lot of golf schools opened up, and I've got some clients who've got sort of golf schools where they're sponsoring the young kids, putting them through. There hasn't been a lot of money put behind it. So I think just give it a few more years and Indonesia will be on the map as well.
You know, they always say when you talk business on the golf course, you also get to know what the other person is like. You found that any time when you were playing with some clients? No names mentioned.
Of course. Right? That's where you see how they are after a bad shot, after losing a few holes, if there's some betting involved. You get to see temperament. You get to see how they bounce back from a bad shot. So you get to learn a bit about them. And also on the golf course, for some reason, it opens up people. They're willing to talk a lot more. You hear about their personal lives, something that you probably would never do. The golf course opens up a lot to people.
Yeah, versus the boardroom, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, my ball's over here. Ooh. Nice try. More executive golf with Sharab Bhutani of Standard Chartered Bank, Indonesia, in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Daniel Parkin from the Ledbetter Golf Academy here in Indonesia. Today we're taking a look at chipping out the rough. Now, the key here is first of all is to take a little extra bit of loft. From there, what you want to do is make sure you put your weight towards your left so your sternum is over the ball. Now the real secret is that we're going to get a little bit steep into the ball. So what we want to do is actually use our wrists. Okay, so from here we're going to hinge our wrists and we're able to come out quite easily. So that was our executive tip for today. I will see you next time.
This is Executive Golf, and my playing partner today is Sharab Bhutani, Managing Director of Standard Chartered Bank, Indonesia. Yeah, you're talking about talent, Sharab, many people have raised that issue. It's just tough to find skilled labor.
It's very tough. One of the things that we're doing is identifying all the Indonesian talent we have in our footprint and bringing them back home. So we've been very successful in doing that. We've had about 5 or 6 people come back in my group alone in the past year. The other thing we're doing is we're taking some of our up-and-comers, bright talent, and moving them overseas in preparation for what we think will be what you're talking about, the need to have
regionalization,
greater flow of trade between Indonesia and other countries. This will facilitate all of that. So this is a time to really develop it. I think those who find a way to develop their talent, bring them in, Indonesians from outside, train those that are here from a more global perspective, are the ones who are going to win.
Right, some countries are also looking at that, but the problem is, of course, is if they're living in New York or Amsterdam or wherever have you, they have higher wages, they probably have a better living lifestyle, better standard of living, and then you ask them to come home. The big question is, why should I come home? I'm going to get less money. My job prospects probably not as great.
So those are all the issues we faced, and you'll be surprised. There is a level of pride and nationalism in coming back home, and that you just can't take away. You saw a similar phenomenon in India 6-7 years ago, and I had a lot of friends who were in the US who were sacrificing a lot in terms of career, lifestyle, but wanted to go back to help the country out.
When you talk about the business of government, how do you think the government has fared so far in terms of, spending the money for healthcare, for social issues, for education, and for infrastructure and other developments within the country through the years?
Yeah, so the areas where the government has tried and made some progress but has been hampered by other rules on the infrastructure side. There is a land rights rules here which are very difficult to overcome. So you can't just take anyone's land, and that hampers the infrastructure development. And you can think about it, you can either do it China's way or you can do it India's way. And this is more of a democratic country, so you obviously it's going to need that. But that's hampered infrastructure development. The other 2 areas that we get a lot of investment, which perhaps not enough is brought into it, are healthcare and the education system. And I think you're seeing an increasing amount of investment coming in, both private sector and public sector. And in some cases, private and public getting together. We have a few clients who are investing heavily in the hospital space and the overall general healthcare space. So I think you will see more to come. There's a recognition and a realization that these have probably been sectors that have been underinvested over the past decade or so. So it's coming. Funds are flowing in.
When you talk to your clients, are there any particular sectors that seem to be highlighted in their mind in terms of investment opportunities?
So yes, so healthcare is one of them, without a doubt. Education, but it's difficult. It's not as scalable. Anything that's consumer oriented. This is a consumer-driven economy, and all consumer products, particularly fast-moving consumer goods, branded food items, these are doing very, very well. And as the number of people who join the middle class increases and swells, you're going to see more and more. The other is in food and protein. As people's wages go up, the protein consumption goes up. And we're reaching that inflection point in Indonesia where over the next 3-4 years we're going to have a very large segment of the population moving into a higher per capita protein consumption. So we're seeing a fair amount of interest in chicken and chicken producers and other proteins.
What do you see as the biggest challenges facing the new administration as well as the country and the people overall?
Well, probably the biggest challenge for the new administration is to bring about a view from the investor community that things are stable and there will be no more flip-flopping on policies, there will be no more changes. I think foreign investors are very wary of a situation where they don't know what will happen to policy. Once they know what policy is and they've got an understanding that this will remain policy, regardless of how much they like it or not, they can plan around it, they can invest accordingly. But the changes in policy is what hurts sentiment the most. I think so it'll be incumbent on the new government to show some stability, some direction, a real strategy, and outline to investors what the story is for the Indonesia what some of the policies would be. The other same ones, Lorraine, that you've heard about infrastructure, how do we do that? That's the biggest bottleneck facing the country, so if the government can figure that out from a domestic perspective, and again on schools, and serving people in education, that's something that is falling behind.
What about the quick issue of corruption?
Very quick issue.
They've got to deal with it, right, Sharab? They've got to deal with it. Like other countries, not only Indonesia, other countries too.
In other countries, it happens and it's called something else. Here, it's clear corruption, but in other countries, it also happens. But that's sort of been in the system for a long time here. How quickly and how far that will change, I think time will tell. But it'll be a process.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm not going to be corrupt here. I'm going to actually tell you that I can't find my ball.
No, they lifted it up. You were on.
Executive Golf with Sharab Bhutani of the Standard Chartered Bank Indonesia will return shortly.
Keep your head still and watch the ball.
This week's edition of Executive Golf is coming to you from Sentul Highlands Golf Club in Bogor. Sharab, you've lived here almost 2 years. How's life like, expatriate life here like?
So I'm coming from Hong Kong, which couldn't be more different than Jakarta. Let me tell you some of the differences. First and foremost, obviously, is infrastructure and traffic, so I don't need to get into that. You're going from a place where you know exactly how much time it's going to take you to get from point A to point B, to one where you have no idea. It could vary from an hour to 3 hours, depending on where you're going. But I will tell you a few things that I found very, very interesting here in Indonesia. One is just the diversity of the place. It's got immensely varying cultures, landscape, wildlife, and then the other thing that struck out to me here in Indonesia is just the people. I've been struck by how nice the people are. It's absolutely wonderful people with a lot of culture, a lot of history. Religion is important. So there's a lot going on with the makeup of all the people here.
And what about for families? Is it a good place to raise kids?
Yeah, it's okay. The kids loved it. Within 1 month of being here in Jakarta, they loved it here. What do kids need? They need the parents, a few good friends, and some space. And you've got more space here in Jakarta than we did in Hong Kong. So they just absolutely love it. You can get almost anything you need and have access to activities. It may take a little bit longer, maybe a little harder to find, but everything is here.
You started playing in New York, right?
I wouldn't call it playing. That's the first time I played when I was in New York. But as I said, not particularly seriously till I came out here to Asia.
Right. I mean, look at the courses. Look at this course we're playing at. It's beautiful. Look at the land. Look at the terrain. I mean, why not play golf?
Exactly right. Yeah, you're out there, beautiful surroundings, and that's the other thing. When I came out to Asia, this is just a fascinating thing to do. You've played at Nirvana. I played that this past weekend. What a beautiful course, right? With that temple scenery. The scenery is just fantastic. So you go out. Part of tourism is you look at the nice sights. Well, golf, you get a little bit of nice sights. You get a bit of fresh air, and you get to play a sport as well.
Right, and family's got stuff to do. They can go whitewater rafting. They can go shopping.
Yep, absolutely. We're going to try that in Vegas. We're spending a few days in the summer in Vegas, and that's a great place for golf and for the kids. So let me see if I can balance that in Vegas.
Hey, do you play competition? Friendlies.
Friendly competitions. I wouldn't call it just our internal corporate the tournaments is as competitive as I've become in golf so far. Better when I play with people who are better than me, and the way I look at it is just it's a cost of doing business where I'm actually learning from them.
Well, I was going to ask you, who do you prefer playing with? Clients or friends?
The clients that you play with end up becoming friends.
Really?
You get a lot closer with them. So it's obviously the environment is a lot more relaxed when it's with friends, but I've seen that change where I started off, they were simply clients, and as we played more rounds together, they're now sort of turning into friends as well.
I know I asked you if you wanted to play with, if you had a choice of playing with any golfer, who would it be? But what about people you admire? You got a favorite player that you like?
In all sports, or are you just
No,
talking
in
golf?
golf,
In
yeah.
golf? Well, I think you've got to just look at what Tiger has done, right? And be in admiration.
On the golf course, right?
On the golf course. Admiration, others, but not only what he did for the game, what he did for the game as well outside, right? He just elevated to a point of incredible popularity when he was at the top of his game. And it became, I remember when it was sort of Tiger Mania, that everybody wanted to play golf. All the young kids wanted to get in. So I think he did a lot for the sport.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, we talked about the bunker and the strategy we're going to use in the bunker. So we're both in the bunker.
And let's see if we
And
can put it
let's
to
see
work.
if- correct.
Yep.
Nice out. Oh yeah. Ooh, look at that break. Sharab Bhutani, Managing Director of Standard Chartered Bank Indonesia. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Lorraine.
it.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Thanks
great
so
to
much.
see you
Great
too.
to see you as well.
Right. Well, that's this edition of Executive Golf, coming to you from Central Highlands Golf Course in Bogor. I'm Lorraine Hahn, and remember, make every hole count.